Boom! Welcome back, everyone. How we doing? It's good to see you all. It's good to be back once again. I feel like every time I film another one of these videos and podcasts and stuff, I look completely different to how I did last time. I don't know if you can tell. I'm trying to grow out the mo and the beard a bit. The beard I'm probably gonna keep getting rid of. I keep shaving it off, but the mo is coming through pretty strong. I can't complain. You know, I think it's. I don't know. It might be here to stay. We'll see what happens, but yeah, anyway, I just always find that funny. I'm watching these videos back and stuff, and I'm looking back at some of the old clips I have, and I'm like, wow, like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and you look completely different to how you did, 4 weeks ago, or whatever it is, so, oh, shoot, I lost my keys. That's alright, not to worry, but, that is a strange one, though. Anyway, how are we all doing? It's good to be back. Again, I think it's been a week since the last pod, which is always good. Good to have a break. I was meant to have a guest on last week. Unfortunately, they couldn't make it, so we'll make up for that in the next couple of weeks. And hopefully we're gonna get a couple more guests on. I think we're gonna try and integrate that in now. Get some guests on as well. Not this type of format. We'll get. I don't know how that's gonna look, having guests on, but we'll figure it out as we go. Can't complain about it, and it's going to be interesting nonetheless, to say the least about it. But I really don't know where I put those keys. That's bothering me. That's going to bother me. Oh, it's in my lap. But regardless, what are we talking about today? What do we want to talk about today? I was going to talk about a couple things. I have a couple things I want to talk about, but I think I'm going to split them up over 2 separate episodes. But I think the main thing I want to talk about today is this topic and idea that I've been rinsing around in my head, sort of just, working out a bit. And it's the idea that, I'll just say it. There's too many Trumps and not enough Van Goghs. Now, I'll say that again. There's too many Trumps and not enough Van Goghs. Now, you might be like, Tiernan, what the hell are you talking about? And I would be like, let me explain. So I'm going to explain, as always. And so what I sort of mean is that, I was talking to a friend the other day, and I was sort of just, thinking about it as I was driving and going for walks and stuff, and I was thinking, it feels as though nowadays no one does anything for just passion. There's always something attached to it. There's always a goal. Always a, not obviously there's a goal, but there's always an under-meaning factor behind why someone does a certain thing. Right? Everyone wants to be famous, make quick money, make good money, have, a great looking, girlfriend or whatever, and have heaps of followers on Instagram. Do all these things. But no one wants to do it just for the sole fact that they're passionate about it, that they're crazy enough to do it. That when Van Gogh was alive, people would look at him and go, that guy is crazy and his artwork's terrible. But 50, 60, 70 years down the line, 100 years down the line, we look at him and we go, that's one of the greatest artists the world has ever seen. No one ever nowadays feels genuine in that way. And I sort of was sitting there at work the other day, and I was thinking, when I think about right now, when I think about the world, when I think about everything, I think if I could explain to you the way that I see the world sometimes, I see it as grey, like the colour grey, like not black and white, just grey. I feel like the life of the world sometimes gets sucked out with social media, with this idea of being a vlogger, being a streamer. That's what kids look up to nowadays. Where did it all go? When kids used to look up to Fireman Sam or Postman Pat, where did it all go? Where did this idea of having your own identity lose itself along the way. I am so sick and tired of talking to people and they just go, I'm going to work, like they say, I'm just going to work in an office, or I'm going to do this. And I sort of look at it and I just go, that's not you. I think that's not your dream. You're doing that because that's what the world told you who to be. I always think about this quote, and I always say it, who were you before the world told you who you had to be? Who am I before the world told me who I had to be? Before they put me in this box and said, Tiernan, you are going to be this, nothing else. If you go outside this box, people are going to point fingers at you and say, you're making a mistake. You're doing the wrong thing. You're ruining your life, mate. You've got all this opportunity. Who were you before the world told you who you had to be? That's what I ask you today. What are you passionate about, guys? For me, when I was younger, I wanted to be a paleontologist. Now, as I've grown up, I don't want to be a paleontologist. And that's fine. That's fine. You can grow out of all of this. But for me, I'm passionate about so much things, and I'm not afraid to tell people I'm passionate about them. If someone wants to sit down and have a conversation with me about MMA, brother, I'm there for it. I'll be there till the cattle walk home. You know what I mean? So I find it hard when I meet people, and it's like, what are you actually passionate about? That's when you meet someone. You don't meet someone by shaking their hand and saying g'day and talking about, just the basics. You meet someone when you go, what are you passionate about? What drives you? What gets you out of bed in the morning? What do you look forward to on a weekend? But not like, what do you look forward to on the weekend partying? What do you look forward to on the weekend that you get to watch? That you get to read? I feel like no one reads anymore. I don't read as much as I used to. I used to be a big reader. I used to read like, like a book every 2 weeks, like a big one as well. I was a big reader growing up. And I was trying to get back into my books. I've started slow with some audiobooks, and I'm learning about the Native Americans and like the British and that sort of historical period. And I find it so interesting. They are, like, for example, the Comanches. I hope I'm correct when I'm saying this. Horses are not native to America. So when the British brought horses over, miraculously, the Native Americans are some of the best horseback riders in the world. Like, they just were really good at it, and really good at mustering and taming horses and Mustangs and stuff like that, which is so crazy. Like, I'm listening to this book, and it's called Empire of the Summer Moon. Listen to it, guys, please, I beg. It's on Audible, and it's just so interesting. It's just, like, I listen to it at work, and I can't wait. Like, you ever have something, like, you look forward to so much? You're like, it's Monday, I get to listen to this book again. I get to do this. I get to do that. That's what I'm going through at the moment with this book. Gets me going, gets me fired up, I'm hearing about these battles between the British and the Comanches and all this stuff, and I'm like, wow, how sick. But like, it's cool. It's cool. I was watching a movie. This is on topic. I watched a movie a while back, and the reason I sort of talk about this movie, it's called A Midnight in Paris, and it's a great movie. It's a slow movie. It's more of an artistic movie, in the sense, like, it's a very mainstream movie, but it's got some core art textual vibes to it. You know what I mean? There's a deeper meaning within the context. Anyway, it's about this guy, and he's in Paris with his fiancée and his fiancée's family and stuff. And you see his fiancée and him, completely different people. Just don't love the same thing, stuff like that. Anyway, he's a writer, and he goes for a walk at midnight in Paris. If I remember the movie right, he goes back in time. He gets in a taxi cab, which takes him back in time to, I think it's like I don't even know, like the 1800s or whatever in Paris, like something. Maybe it could be even the 1900s. Anyway, before he went back in time, he fantasized about this time, and he goes, like, he's like, oh man, imagine growing up in like the 1930s, the 1870s in Paris, like how beautiful it would have been, how simple it would have been, you know, all this, the dream behind it, you know, the mystique behind it, you know. And he goes back in time and he meets like some famous people. I can't name them off the top of my head, but he meets these people, and they start saying the same thing to him about the past. So like these people from the 1930s go, oh, imagine how good life would have been in the 1870s, you know? And so it's a very human thing where we go, like, you know, it's kind of cliche, but people go like, imagine I was born in the 80s, or, you know, I was a 90s kid, but I was born in the 2000s type of thing. And I do that sometimes where I think about like, imagine like, man, if I could have been born in a time where social media, phones, all that didn't exist, imagine what that would have been like. And I think about it and I think like, wow, that would have been a sick time to grow up. Because the only like, that I feel like when I think about that time, like that's when celebrities were celebrities. Now no one's a celebrity. Celebrities don't exist, right? Realistically, celebrities don't exist. There's very few that you would class as a celebrity. Everyone's a micro-influencer. Everyone's this and that. And I've talked about this before on the pod, and like I'm not trying to tire you guys out with it. But when I think about that, I go, wow, if I grew up in that period, I would have been this and that, and how sick that would have been and stuff. But the truth is, if I was born at that time, I would have done the exact same thing that I'm doing now when I think about it. And like, I don't know, sometimes we gotta appreciate this now, you know. This is the youngest we're all ever gonna be. This is the youngest we're all ever gonna be, you know. Think about that. You're only getting older by the day. I'm only getting older by the day. Some days I wake up and I feel like I'm freaking 30. And then I'm like, nope, you're an 18-year-old, nearly 19. You know, I grow out my beard. I'm growing out my mo to look older, to look more masculine, more mature. But the truth is that I shouldn't be in a rush to grow up, because by the time I'm 30, by the time I'm 25, I'm going to look back and go, man, how simple was life when I was 18. I had no worries. And everything right now feels like it's weighing down on me. It feels like I'm so busy. But the truth is, you know, 21-year-olds, 25-year-olds, 30-year-olds probably look at me and go, wow, I wish I was that young again. I wish I had no real pressure on me. You know what I mean? And like, sometimes I forget that. And I forget, like, dude, you've got like no burdens. You're not holding anyone. Like, you don't have to look after anyone. You don't have to hold anyone, you know, to a standard. You don't have kids. You don't have any of this. You're free. You're as free as you'll ever be. So use it, and use it correctly, and use it right. And, you know, obviously sometimes we make mistakes and we mess up. I'd say these last 2 weeks have been some of my toughest and most challenging, not for the fact that things are going wrong, but just, you know, some weeks you just feel off. And probably these last 2-3 weeks I've felt pretty off. And so that has caused me to make mistakes and stuff that probably doesn't align with like my morals and stuff, like going out drinking all the time and, you know, obviously still training, but you know what I mean? And I guess that sort of can be a factor to it, where it's like, that's another thing where it's like, when everything's going wrong, you find out what your core values really are, because you know, it's easy when everything's going wrong to throw everything out the window and just abandon ship. It's hard to stay in that moment of pain, that moment of struggle, and just go, I'm gonna take my licks. I'm gonna take this, and I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna get up. I'm gonna keep going. And to be honest, I struggle with that sometimes. struggle heavily with that, where it's like, it's tough for me sometimes to, so it's a weird angle, it's tough for me sometimes to get up and throw back at life, you know? And at the moment, life's been kicking my ass. Not to swear, but life's been kicking my ass, people. And I've been letting it. But over these last probably 2-3 days, I've had a change of mindset, and I said, no, I'm going to get up. I'm going to keep fighting. I'm going to keep going. I'm a fighter, you know? And you don't have to be fighting physically. You can be fighting mentally. You can be fighting figuratively. And man, I'm probably 3 rounds down right now in a 5-round fight. In a 10-round fight. If there's been 5 rounds, we're at the halfway point for me. And there's been 5 rounds gone by, and I've won 2 of them. So I need to start throwing back, and just pushing through. Because on the other side of pain, on the other side of struggle, man, it's beautiful. And I forget sometimes that there ain't no appreciation for the sun when it's sunny. You know what a lot of sun does? It makes a desert. You know what a lot of rain and sun does? It makes a forest. It makes a lush forest and a green forest. And it makes life. So, if it was good all the time, I wouldn't appreciate it. And if it's good all the time for you guys, you wouldn't appreciate it as much. And man, like, my struggles are not as bad as some other people that I know. You know, I was talking to someone the other day, and I was just listening to him talk about what's going on in his life. And I was just like, how are you doing this, bro? How are you getting up and still moving? Like, how do you not just, like, some days just sit in your bed and just go, I can't. And I never do that. I never sit in bed and just go, I'm not getting up today or anything like that. But man, sometimes it's a real battle in my mind where I'm just like fighting back and forth and throwing stuff at the wall in my head and just going, I'm not throwing stuff figuratively at the wall, I'm just like in my mind, I'm throwing stuff at my head, and I'm just going, dude, this and that and this and that, you know? And you know, this is the thing, there's another thing I want to talk about, men's mental health and stuff, is that I'm just speaking from experience and stuff, the best way to solve men's mental health, for me at least, and what I've experienced, is having a challenge to face. Having a goal to face, having a purpose, driven every day that you get up and you're just like, I've got to go out and slay this beast, bro. I've got to wake up and carry my cross, you know? And like, I don't know, guys, like, I don't know about you, like, if this is similar for you guys, then please let me know. But for me, that's the best way I've done it, and that's the only way I know how to do it, is get up and do something challenging, have something challenging every day. And you know, keep on fighting with it, because there's going to be days you feel like $1 million, and there's going to be days where you don't. And everyone, I mean everyone, even the people that say that I can't have a bad day because I'm just grateful for getting up every morning and stuff, brother, they have bad days. I have so many bad days where I'm like, I don't want to keep doing this. Not like I don't want to live, but like I don't want to keep like working. I don't want to keep, you know, showing up to the gym. I don't want to keep showing up for my, you know, I don't want to keep going out or start like catching up with mates and stuff. And like I say one of the ways that like I shut off sometimes mentally, and it's not a good way, like this is how, like when I'm like going through it, is like I'll just stop responding to people and I'll just shut myself off. Like social media, my friends always joke like, Tin, you're bad at responding to me and stuff, and at that I am. But sometimes like I just don't respond because like, man, I just you know, I'm like in a pause zone where it's like I don't want to deal with that. I don't even want to text anyone, talk to anyone right now. I just want to be in the gym. I just want to work. And I just want to try and pass through this, you know what I mean? You know that moment of pain, for example, like when you're, like imagine you're at a burn, someone burnt you, you burnt yourself, and you put an ice on it. someone's talking to you in your ear, and the pain's so excruciating, all you're focusing on is trying to calm yourself down and just focus on that ice on the wound. You know what I mean? You know, but I am grateful, and like, you know, I'm not, in no way am I, you know, ungrateful or anything. Like, man, I get up every day and I just keep working, and I know I'm not going to be the best sometimes, and I know you guys know that you're not going to be the best sometimes, and that's okay. You know, as long as you just keep getting up and showing up, that's all you can ask. You know, right now I'm saying something in my head where it's like, just make it through each day. Focus on each day. Take it one day at a time right now, Tez. You know, that's what I say to myself. I just say, take it one day at a time. Focus on getting up and just going through it. Sometimes going through the motions is the best thing you can do. You know? And I keep hammering it home. But just sometimes, like, just going through it. The motions is the best way to get through that season of you know, that stormy season. And, you know, the whole winter, I had a good winter, you know, genuinely nothing bad or anything happened. And then it just got to the end of winter. We're coming into summer now, spring. And for some reason, this stormy season where I expected it through winter is now hitting me now. And man, I got to be prepared, and I just got to keep showing up. Because that's all you can ask. Like, that's all your family can ask, that's all your friends can ask, and that's all you can ask of yourself, to just keep showing up. Because if you can do that, man, there's not much you can't do then. You know? But anyway, guys, this has been Trodaire. It got a bit deep there at the end. You know, I'm not always the best about talking about these things. I sort of just felt like talking about it tonight. And I hope that's alright with you guys. You know, I'm not, like I said, I'm not the best at talking about my feelings or anything like that, or I don't really like talking about the mental fortitude that I'm in at times. Or I like to sort of cushion it a bit more. But I think it's important to be honest with you people, just as, like, I'm sure you guys would like to be honest with me. And if you ever feel like texting me, guys, would love to talk to you. Please leave comments down below. You know, as always, I appreciate that very much. And like, just, man, the support goes so far for me. Like, I say it all the time, but when you get a text from someone, it just makes your day. So, about the pod, or, you know, just stuff. So, thank you guys so much. And yeah, let's keep working. It's going to get better. Trust me. You know, I don't know if any of you guys are going through anything right now, but trust me, it's going to get better. All right? Sweet. I'll see you soon, guys. Stay safe. Appreciate you for tuning in. And once again, this has been Trodaire. I think this is Trodaire 14. Imagine we get to 100 episodes. That would be crazy. But, yeah. Appreciate it all, guys. Have a good night. Have a good day. Have a good work. Have a good weekend. See you later. Bye.